like I said, if you want to see uh an experience, just go watch his stuff online. Follow him on Instagram. You'll see. But The Weeknd is an experienced artist. There's only really, to me, there's only really acts. There's only about 3 or 4 acts that are experienced artists to me. Kendrick is one, and The Weeknd is another. These artists give you an experience when you listen to their music. All right, man. Torture Talk After Hours. You know what it is. So look, man, we're gonna check in with Fantastic Hip Hop. They're talking about Drake, and this is the end for him. And yeah. So let's get into that. Also, too, The Weeknd dropped his new album, which is actually phenomenal. If you didn't hear it, go listen to it. It's an excellent album. It caught me off guard because I'm so used to Weeknd being a little more popish, and it wasn't even like that. It was totally different. So before I get into that, you know what it is. This is Torture Talk After Hours. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and share. Let's go.
Drake. We almost just had a news story that didn't involve him running away from his own failure and finding more ways to become the most pathetic rapper of all time for a change, and instead, we were about to see Drake at least try to do something with the effort to at least improve his reputation to the people, as he was expected to release his upcoming collab album that he has been teasing with Party Next Door on January 31st. But now, just when Drake was actually about to get back to the music, at the last minute before locking in the release of his first album since losing to Kendrick Lamar like we have never seen, Drake decided to pull this record from dropping and is now holding it back, and the reason why this seems to be is because none other than the superstar from the same place as him in The Weeknd is dropping one of the most anticipated albums out right now with what is said to be his final record, Hurry Up Tomorrow. And now with all of the hype around this project, even Drake has realized that he does not stand a chance against it. But now seemingly with
Yeah. Weeknd has been, I'll be honest with y'all, The Weeknd has been running laps around Drake like nobody's business. He's been better than Drake for years. And The Weeknd is one of those artists to me that a lot of people, they don't know how big he is until you actually see how big he is. Like, a lot of people don't really realize how big. The Weeknd is the biggest artist in the world. Hands down, he's the biggest artist in the world. A lot of people don't know that because he don't typically promote that type of and on top of that, he's like kind of like Kendrick to me in a way, whereas he was at the pop out in the crowd. The biggest artist in the world is at the pop out in the crowd. You know what I'm saying? Like, stuff like that is what make The Weeknd to me different, and I'm gonna get into it a little more, but let's keep it going.
Drake being at a point where beyond being scared of just Kendrick Lamar, he is now also scared of The Weeknd. As releasing this record now was the last time he could have before the Super Bowl and Grammy season comes around, and before Not Like Us, Kendrick Lamar, and the impact of everything that has happened in rap sticks more than we have ever seen. With Drake getting even more scared, he may have just made the move that he is going to look back on as the last chance he ever had to save his career. But now, before we go any further into this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And so now, with this entire moment between Drake and The Weeknd, this has been one of the most important and pivotal stories to come out of the music industry so far this year, because even just with the information being revealed that Drake and Party were even planning on dropping their collab project in this time, considering the way the official report was released and what it was exactly stating, there immediately was a ton of conversation from all sides of the music world on whether this really was true or whether this story was planted from the week.
So some people were saying that The Weeknd team planted this in some type of reverse psychology where they plant this so people who hate Drake will go and buy The Weeknd's album because they don't want to see Drake succeed. Now, I don't know if The Weeknd needs to do that. I don't know. I mean, he's the only artist to have, I believe, 4 or 5 or 6, I'm not sure, diamond singles over 1 billion streams. I believe he's Spotify's #1, if Bruno Mars didn't take him over yet, I think Bruno Mars might have beat him out. But The Weeknd, I believe, is the most. He has the most listeners on Spotify right now. Or he did for at least 2-3 years. He was going back and forth with, I believe, him and Taylor Swift or something like that. I'm not sure. But and on top of that, Blinding Lights is the biggest song of all time. It's the most streamed, the most watched song of all time. The Weeknd he's that guy. I'm not even gonna lie, he's that guy, and he does a bunch of different ranges of things. So putting Drake in this position where they say Drake is going up against him head up, I just think that whoever did that if that was planned, that was a genius move.
Weeknd's team to add more hype to his album and to make Weeknd look like an even bigger force in the music industry who would make Drake look scared as a whole. And I mean, when it comes to the back and forth that fan bases are having, and really the attempt from Drake and OVO to try and defend and make Drake look better than he is, because if this story really turns out to be true, over everything it is showing that Drake just does not believe in himself and his own abilities as a star anymore. Putting things into perspective, when you understand Drake and The Weeknd's beef, and also their proximity to one another and their teams just because of where they are from, we can really see that with this entire report. While The Weeknd's team definitely were the ones who were behind getting this information out to the public, because I mean, it shouldn't be surprising that one of the artists with the biggest teams in the world and who is in a direct back and forth with Drake that is so personal was able to get a hold of this information. And just adding even more to this, if we go back to The Weeknd's feature from We Still Don't Trust You's track All to Myself, he literally did tell us how Drake has leaks in his operation. And already in the past, we have found out that lyric to be more than true, as Drake's team has just embarrassed him over and over again. All in all, everyone and
Yeah, Weeknd was the first one to say that Drake has leaks in his operation. He was the first one to say that. You know what I'm saying? He was the first one to put that out there. And on top of that, they've been going back and forth for years. And I know they had fixed their relationship at one point, but I think The Weeknd was a man of his word, but Drake kept going back on his word. And it is what it is. And this is what culminated to that. You know what I'm saying? So
Drake fans specifically have to realize in this time, where especially because of what Drake is doing, where because of what he is trying to accuse Not Like Us of, he is literally setting a precedent that he will try and use other people's words to take them down. From just the awful precedent Drake has now set with that record, to also the fact that The Weeknd is one of the most professional people in the entire music industry. And this is why, unlike someone like Drake, for example, he has gotten so many opportunities and his status and name has just increased more and more over the years. This story just didn't come out of nowhere, and I mean beyond trying to put together what we don't know. What we do know for sure is that we have all seen Drake increasingly post more and more that is teasing what is to come in this entire era that him and Party Next Door are going to be sharing the losing spotlight together for. And with Drake being at this point where he is trying to do just about anything to win any of his former fans back, when we just look at his track record. In the past, he has also seen the success of what having an album release in the same window as another rival artist's album can do, as this is what happened when CLB and Donda dropped at the same time a few years ago, which really for the release of both albums made everything an even bigger spectacle than it ever was. And with this, what Drake has clearly shown based on his track record is that he definitely fares better by going head to head with someone, especially who is not a rapper album.
I understand that. That Drake does try to. Drake's a very, very arrogant guy, and I think he tries to play the roles of what other people has done, and without understanding. For example, I remember when Jay-Z used to do that to Nas. Every time Nas dropped something, Jay-Z would drop something. But we're talking about two premier acts, and I don't have a problem with two of the greatest to drop something. The issue with Drake is he does this to try to overshadow, and some people could say, well, Jay did that, but Jay could never overshadow Nas, and Nas could never overshadow Jay. To me, that's like the perfect matchup between the two. Even though I gave Nas the battle, some people say Jay won the war. I just say I would just look at as far as the battle perspective. But that was to me that was a great back and forth. Now, when it comes to Drake, he tries to go at too many people at once because he wants to look like he's the only man in the room. But It's too many powerful dudes in that room that he can't handle. And this is what happens to him.
Album as opposed to doing any sort of actual competitive rapping, because of course with that he has now more than displayed that when the lights are bright in that regard, he will just never embarrass himself more. But even with this being clearly established, for whatever reason now, Drake has decided that in this time where hypothetically, if this album were to be a success, he could disrupt everything Kendrick Lamar is about to do with the Grammys and the Super Bowl by getting back on the board with something people are talking about that is actually music related and not for all of the other ridiculous antics he has been in headlines about. He is just not ready to go up against The Weeknd, who leading up to this album, did an entire stadium tour by himself among so much else. And really, with Drake sitting down and after questioning if he should release this.
All right, so let me I guess I'm sure he knows this, but The Weeknd has been doing stadiums by himself for a long time. I would say at least, not a long time, but let's say at least at least 2 years, 2 to 3. I would say 3 years. Well, the first stadium he did, I believe it was something before that, but I'm just gonna go with the Super Bowl. He did Super Bowl by himself. He didn't have a special guest. He did the whole Super Bowl by himself. Then he went and did the Dawn FM tour, I believe. I believe it was the Dawn FM tour. I went to the first one in Philly, and then I went to the other one in up north. When I tell you it's different, and I'll explain that later about how great his concert performances be, but those were stadiums. And he's been doing stadiums. I think he's the only solo act to do a stadium outside, male solo act, that does a stadium by himself. You know what I'm saying? And it'd be sold out. It's unreal. I'm telling y'all now, if you've never been to a Weeknd concert, you need to go, bro. It's an experience. I'm gonna tell you right now. It's like it's an experience. It's crazy. It's crazy. You wouldn't even believe the pyrotechnics, the lights, the moon. He had this one joint I went to. Man, he had these girls in these red dresses come out, and then I seen one. I didn't go to this one. It wasn't at the one I went to, but he had this giant metal woman statue, bro. Man, listen, bro. It's crazy. I'm gonna tell you now. It's crazy.
Big comeback record and try to go head to head with the other person who has been seen right alongside him for over a decade as the faces of their entire city's music scene, coming to the decision that he is not going to drop this album on the same day as The Weeknd. While Drake is obviously not saying anything directly, it really seems like just by doing this, he is starting to reveal how much he has benefited from the system that was the music industry before just ruining the thing that made him a star in the first place. Because at this point, with him now being in the situation with his label that he is, and just like with Kendrick Lamar, The Weeknd is also signed to the same guys as they are. Between this already and the fact that Drake now knowing that because of how he handled the reaction to Not Like Us and what he is now trying to claim about its success, that the music industry and the people who have been making sure that his lame past few albums still did major numbers are not going to prop this thing up the way they have done in the past, and really with The Weeknd dropping on the same day who they have much more interest in, between The Weeknd being a bigger name everywhere because let's face it, from playing Super Bowls to stadiums when Drake can't even play arenas without other stars, beyond The Weeknd just being a bigger artist than Drake, even beyond stardom, the hype around his final album being way more interesting and promising to people than Drake's collab project with Party Next Door after Drake has never been in a worse place is something that even Drake has had to realize in this moment. And so with all of these factors,
like I said, if you want to see an experience, just go watch his stuff online. Follow him on Instagram. You'll see, but The Weeknd is an experienced artist. There's only acts. There's only about 3 or 4 acts that are experienced artists to me. Kendrick is one, and The Weeknd is another. These artists give you an experience when you listen to them. You know what I'm saying? They give you an emotional feel that, and I know some people can't relate. Some people think The Weeknd music is terrible. You know, some people think that, Kendrick music is terrible, but they give you an experience. There's a couple of other artists, but not like them two. To me, when we talking about the pinnacle of an experience, is The Weeknd and Kendrick Lamar. hands down. I look at it like that. You know what I'm saying? All the other artists, they got good music, and some of them are good. Some of them are legends in their own right, but I don't get an experience from them. You know what I'm saying? And let's just take Chris Brown, for example. I like Chris Brown. You know what I'm saying? I just don't think he gives me an experience like The Weeknd does when I listen to The Weeknd. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with Bruno Mars. I like Bruno Mars, but Bruno Mars to me doesn't give me the experience. You know, same thing with Nas. I like Nas, but Nas doesn't give me the experience that Kendrick does. You know what I'm saying? Eminem is another one. He's recently started doing it, but he still doesn't give me an experience like Kendrick does. And I would say Eminem is probably up there a little bit. But it's other artists that I could name, but those are the people that, and they're respected in their right. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't be respected, and I ain't saying that they're not good. I'm just saying they're good, but they don't give me an experience. And that's why I think The Weeknd is where he's at today, because this guy he's massive. You know what I'm saying? He just does things that I just think artists would never even try to do. Like, there was one joint he did during COVID. He pretended the whole time like he got his face, like he got a facelift. And then he dropped Save Your Tears with a new face, and everybody literally thought that he got a facelift. They was like, I can't believe he did this to himself. But the whole idea of it was he did that because he wanted to show people that you don't need to do this type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And he don't need your awards. He just needs the music. Basically, that's what the song is about. So let's keep it going.
Working against him, Drake seemingly knows that while if he was able to release this project and have it outperform The Weeknd, it could be a way to at least get back some respect and hype from maybe not hip-hop fans, but casual listeners in general. Drake also knows that if he ends up losing this thing, which it seems like he almost will no matter what, he will not just cement his downfall by falling on the charts and losing in a head-to-head album matchup against someone who he has beef with, but he will also be ruining and losing whatever respect he has left in his own city, as after all their beef, which has been going on for years at this point, The Weeknd will be proving that when the stakes have never been higher, he has been the one to lead everything forward. And I mean, if Drake loses to The Weeknd in this time where in his own city, Kendrick Lamar is already stepping over Drake by playing in bigger venues than Drake has ever had, then Drake will officially lose the last thing he is kinda holding on to. And while losing to Kendrick Lamar the way he did was really bad enough, as a lot of other artists are still figuring out where Drake has actually landed and just how bad of a place his career is in now. If Drake loses to The Weeknd as well, this is only gonna make his reputation really plummet as being a loser. And for all the rappers and artists who still do strangely look up to him and want to collaborate on more music, which has included names ranging from Lil Baby to even Central C, who after dropping his album Can't Rush Greatness, the first thing he is saying after having the most successful release of his career is that he now is going to release a song with Drake very soon. Altogether, if Drake becomes a guy who beyond losing to Kendrick Lamar is losing to everyone, even this last corner of hip-hop who is still supporting him and thinks he...
Now, I will say this. I'm almost certain, and I'll probably put money on this, that Kendrick Lamar brings The Weeknd out in Toronto. I'm almost certain of that. I could almost guarantee you that he would, one of those days, The Weeknd is gonna come out, because they got two songs together and both of them are successful. The one song they got is Who Gonna Pray For Me? Yeah. Trust and believe. Most likely they're gonna come out. I would like to see more collabs between The Weeknd and I wish that Kendrick was on The Weeknd's new album, but I can understand why Kendrick isn't on The Weeknd's new album, because The Weeknd is a big artist and Kendrick is a big artist, and you don't want it to always be where you feel like the biggest artist is helping the other biggest artist. Now, I would say maybe after the album drop, if it's the deluxe version, or if there's, what's the name, then yeah. But then I would see it. But as of right now, I don't think it's a good idea to put Kendrick on his new album, even though he wasn't on a new album. I'm just saying.
Bring something to the table will back away. So overall, by Drake thinking about trying to make a comeback right when The Weeknd drops, but now he is realizing that he can't compete for all of the problems he has created himself, and now he is running away from this thing further than he ever has. He is really showing so much, but what the most clear thing to see is here is that after thinking he was better than every other artist, and even saying that Taylor Swift was the only person who could ever make him push a release date back, now even looking at that lyric, this is just another line from him that has aged terribly. Currently with the situation Drake has placed himself in, where he has now just lost more fans than ever, and he's also lost the entire industry, and they are just done with him, period. What Drake is now realizing is that he can't get away with the things like he used to, and because he does not have the systems in place to hold up the lazy music he has been making like he once did, he knows and is really admitting by his silence that he will never be able to get a win against any of the biggest names in music again. And I mean, for Drake now being at a point where he just can't stop losing, and this is just another example of it, I mean, I guess with the industry no longer helping him, if he was like other people, it could force him to make music that is undeniably good. But with the current version of Drake we have seen, he has more than shown that he does not care about the art and craft of music, and from his performance in the Kendrick beef to his reaction after losing has only displayed this more and more. And so
I will say this, and I think that I'm gonna get a shirt made. I will say this, and here's the thing. That's gonna be my merch. I think that the longer Drake takes his time on something, it might be pretty good. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to y'all. He's been releasing music, albums that were just, to me, ranging from trash to just not good albums. And I think that if he sits back and tries to go back to his old form, he probably could release something that's probably good. You know what I'm saying? Because don't get me wrong, Drake's not a bad artist. He's not a bad artist at all. The problem is, I believe that he just ran out of ideas. And he just became this cookie cutter artist who just don't, he's so rich that he doesn't feel like he has to, he don't love the music like Kendrick and The Weeknd do. You could tell that The Weeknd and you could tell Kendrick Lamar, they're obsessed with music. You can tell. Because every time they do a project, it's like, wow. Like every time they do something, it's unbelievable. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm saying it, like The Weeknd is not going to give you the conventional, what you hear on the radio. Like don't get me wrong. Like I like Bruno Mars, but that song with Sexy Red is trash. It's so trash. And I'm actually talking about that song. I'm going to do a review on it. I'm not going to do a reaction because I want to get paid. So I'm going to do a review on it. But yeah, it's trash. It's trash.
Because of this, we know that he is not going to do this, and this is really why now whenever Drake ends up releasing this collab album with Party Next Door, despite how much he is going to pretend otherwise, when this next album drops, and it is now destined to fail, with the results that all of the people and the industry are going to see, it will really mark the end of everything for Drake. And so now with all this said, let me know, what do you think about Drake trying to drop his album when The Weeknd was dropping and then getting scared and pushing it back? And do you think he is going to regret this going forward, or do you think this was an actual good choice on his end? As this is such a massive moment already, no matter what happens from here, let me know what you think about all of this and how a Drake album would perform compared to The Weeknd and in general compared to the current industry and his career trajectory. I mean, with everything he has lost from his own will, whether that's from the fans or the industry, do you think there is anything Drake can do to have a successful record, or do you think when this next album drops, however it ends up flopping will be used against him to prove everything we have seen has actually ruined his career?
Alright, so let's get it. I don't know why I keep thinking my nose is ashy. I don't know, this camera is weird. Anyway, yeah, I think that at this point, even if Drake flops, it doesn't really matter. It don't matter if Drake flops because he's a very successful artist when it comes to money, and he has his old catalog that's going to keep him afloat. As far as the top people, I just don't think that he can compete with these people anymore. When it comes to The Weeknd, Kendrick, Taylor Swift, Bruno Mars, you know, these people are megastar. And then you got Rihanna, who hasn't released the album in years, but she's one of them. Then you got Chris Brown is another one. These are megastars. Now, Chris Brown, I believe Chris Brown is more of a concert megastar than actually a on paper, we'll say album sale record star. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't really know his album sales. I'm just saying what I see. So I could be wrong about that. But So I don't think that he would have to come in now. Him coming with a party album, Party Next Door. I just don't think that it's gonna. I don't think it might be an okay album, but I just don't think it's gonna be something that everybody's looking forward to. Like that album should have been happening. That album should have happened years ago, and Party should have been one of the premier acts. He's pretty good. You know what I'm saying? But again, Drake takes all the spotlight. So I'm kind of glad that The Weeknd put himself in the position where he doesn't need Drake and he got it and went his own way. Also, too, a lot of people don't understand that. I don't think The Weeknd is signed to UMG. I don't think he's signed to them. I think he has his own label, but they distribute his music. Distribute. Yeah, man, I always have a problem saying that word. They distribute his music. You know what I'm saying? I don't know the ins and outs of the contract, but if you look at where it says marketed by, you know what I'm saying, by UMG, by Republic, I believe it's Republic Records and UMG, or it's Capitol Records UMG. I'm not sure because I can't remember exactly what it says, but it says something there. But it also says before that, it says Weeknd OVO, not OVO, XO, Weeknd XO, I believe UK or something like that. Just look and you'll see it for yourself. All right, man. Thank y'all for joining me. I appreciate y'all on After Hour Show. All right, man. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for all the new subscribers too. I appreciate it, man. Y'all help me grow this channel, man. I'm trying to get this channel to 2,500 subscribers by the end of next week, and it's probably gonna happen. So thank y'all for sharing. Thank y'all for watching. You know, we ain't gonna always see eye to eye, but you know, we agree to disagree. All right, man. Thank y'all. Peace. Bye.